What's up guys, it's Grimzag here with another video for Grimzag Does the Basics. I've had several people ask me for tutorials on how to do stuff at the very basic level, so like beginners videos. With that in mind, this video is going to be how to prep your model for undercoating. There's going to be several elements to this video. First up, we're going to teach you how to trim your model off the sprue, how to remove mould lines and tags from your models. Then it's going to be assembling, then how to rinse your models if they require it, and finally how to fill gaps in models that haven't been assembled correctly. So let's get straight into it. Now first up, most of your models, as you can see here, I've got 4 different types of model. We've got a plastic, metal, resin, and then the final one is actually a Reaper bones model, because they're quite common at the moment and they act slightly different to all the others. So each one of these needs to be prepped in slightly different ways. First up, we're going to trim all the excess flash off of models. As you can see, the plastic one is a Citadel miniature. I'm going to have to remove the actual frame, and the resin model has a tag on the bottom, so we're going to trim all those off. And then once that's done, we can move straight on to section 2, which is trimming off mould lines. When these things are made, they have a seam from where the 2 parts of the mould are attached together, and you end up with lines down the various different areas. With the Citadel plastic models, usually they're quite good at hiding the seams so that you don't see them once they're assembled. On the others, it's less so. So you're going to take your craft knife or mould line remover, and you're going to go over the model. Sometimes you're going to need a needle file just to get at some of the slightly more fine ones without damaging the surface texture. Once that's done, you should have a reasonably smooth model. As you can see, it's taken me a while to go over all of these. There's quite a few on the Reaper bones. Once those are all tidied up, we can begin assembly of the models. Now, as a genius that I am, I managed to pick 3 of the 4 models that don't need any assembly. It's just the plastic model. So with the plastic model, you're going to take your polycement glue. Now, this is a welding formula. So effectively, when you put it on the 2 types of plastic, it melts the plastic to weld it together rather than actually gluing the 2. So you don't need very much, just a slight dab along the edges, and then you can assemble your model. I've left a couple of pieces off of mine just because I feel it would be easier to paint without them attached. There'll be some people who you'll find who prefer to paint the model on the frame so that they can move around it easier and get to all the components. Generally speaking, I try and assemble, at least partially assemble my models before I undercoat or prime them. With the metal resin or Reaper models, you're going to need super glue rather than plastic glue. It's not the right chemical compound to weld the items together, so super glue is about the only way to go. And if you're using any combination of the 2, like plastic and the Reaper bones, I'd use super glue just to be safe. As far as I'm aware, the Reaper bones doesn't melt with plastic glue. Once that's all done, we're down to cleaning the models. Now, some of these won't need it, but most models, when they're formed, end up being put in molds that have a mold release agent in. In some cases, like the Citadel, they wash it off. However, they don't always on every brand. Resin is notorious for not having it removed, and the Reaper bones, I don't know what they use on it. Apparently these are meant to be ready to be painted immediately, but I've had several times where once I've undercoated it, they've ended up with a shine to them where it's reacted with whatever agent was still left on them. So all you're going to do is you're going to get a bowl of warm water, some simple washing up liquid, and our trusty electric toothbrush again. Scrub and brush will work just as well. And then you're going to clean the models off. As you can probably see, I've not done anything with the metal model here or the Citadel one, because I know that they won't need it. However, you'll find that certain other plastics will recommend cleaning it off first from cleaning the mould release off. So once those are clean, dry them off with a towel, get a piece of tissue paper, dab them off. You don't want any extra liquid left on them. And these are more or less done. Now, as far as filling in the gaps goes, the plastic guy doesn't really have anything, so now over the last couple of years I've become really good at getting rid of holes in their models. And regardless, I can't really see anything that's going to need any putty to fix. On the other hand, here's the Reaper model. You can see where, whilst I've not done the assembly with this guy, it looks like he was in several parts when he was put together at the factory, and his arm looks a little bit loose in the socket. So with that in mind, we're going to fill that little gap in. That's not a big problem. That's a minor problem that I can fix quite quickly. So I'm going to take this modelling putty. This is kneader tight modelling putty, sometimes called green stuff by certain manufacturers. Mix it together. Easiest way of mixing it together, you cut a strip that is exactly the same length of each side, and then twist it together over and over and over so that you get an even mix throughout the whole thing. And I'm going to use my various modelling tools. In this case, it's a piece of cocktail stick and an old sculpting tool, but you could I've got by with just cocktail sticks before on several occasions. Make sure your tools are wet, because this stuff's sticky, and the last thing you want is to be putting it all into the model, go, okay, that's done, pull your modelling tool away and take half of the sculpt you've done with it. Once that's all smooth and fill in the gap, I'm going to just pat it a little bit with the cocktail stick to give it some texture so that it matches the rest of the model. And then once I'm happy with that, it's a case of leaving it to dry. And there we have it. All four of these guys are now ready to be hit with an undercoat. So I hope that was useful for anyone who's just starting out. I don't know how popular these types of videos will be, but let me know in the comments, and I'll see what anything that people request I do, I'll have a shot at. So that's it for me today. Happy modelling and have a good one.